Good morning from Fox Creek, Virginia 603, and we are camped just beyond the road crossing. And in retrospect, we probably should have stayed at hurricane shelter where we had dinner. As soon as we got off the side trail and onto the AT, it started sprinkling a bit. We did the extra 3.3 miles here in about an hour. It was mostly downhill. And it stopped raining long enough to set the tarp up, which was cool. And it rained most of the night. We stayed dry for the most part, although it is a little moist this morning. And what we're hearing now are just the residual raindrops dripping off the trees. So we're up and walking. It was tempting to just lay there all day, but that wasn't going to get us any closer to home, and I'd rather lay in our own beds. We're just going to keep at it, put one foot in front of the other, and before we know it, we'll be home. So I just ran into Mule, who I met last April, right around this time actually, at Mountain Harper. He'd hiked in there, and when I came back through in November, he was working there. So he's finally back on the trail, trying to complete his through hike. And best of luck to you, Mule. Okay, so we finally reached the junction of the Pine Mountain Trail. This is actually the old AT. This goes to Rhododendron Gap, 2 miles. If it was snowing like crazy, I might be tempted to take that. We're not going to see much today, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I mean, we've been pretty lucky with views thus far in the trip. Yep, so this is it. On a clear day, you'll be able to see Wilburn Ridge from here. Sometimes you gotta stretch and tighten up the laces. Here's your mandatory pony shot. I'm sure we'll see more. So we've just left Little Wilson Creek Wilderness, and we are about to head down to Little Wilson Creek, and you can hear it from here. It is loud. And this is a notoriously flooded area anyway, so I can't imagine what it's going to be like after all the snow melt. But we're going to find out. So yeah, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, even in the driest of times, this area is a lake. So just going to make the best of it and try and stay as dry as possible. Looks like we have a new staircase and a new handrail here. Thanks to whoever built that. Lots of blueberry bushes through here. You'll find these all throughout the high country. Last couple of years haven't been very good for berries for whatever reason. Usually about August, mid-August to the third week in August is when they're ripe. And a popular activity is to come up and pick berries and make blueberry pancakes. At this point in time, honestly, it doesn't feel cold enough for snow. Maybe it is, I don't know. I'm walking, so I'm generating lots of heat. But there's no wind, and it's kind of warm. And besides the fog, the weather's really not that bad. So, apparently Sobo lives do matter after all. It's supposed to start storming about 3 or 4 o'clock, but honestly, it just doesn't feel like snow to me. We're not far from Elk Garden. I actually just got a call out to Larry Riddle. Some of you may know him as Crazy Larry. Good personal friend of mine. He has a hostel in Damascus. And he sent me a message back saying he's going to meet me at Elk Garden with some hot food, which is really nice because the canister is out of fuel. Larry is willing to drop everything to help me, and that's what a good friend is. So even if you don't stay with Larry, if you're in Damascus, stop by and see him. He's a great guy. So I've got about 1.5 miles to Thomas Knob, and then 4 miles downhill to Elk Garden, and that's where we're going to meet him at about 5:30. So once we get down into Rhododendron Gap, out of the wind here, it should be a fairly easy hike to Elk Garden. Well, we couldn't quite make it home without getting another storm. It's only supposed to snow for about an hour, and it's not supposed to accumulate more than an inch, but at these elevations, there's no telling what can happen. It is what it is, I guess.